In CNRM and in research in general, there are two types of trials that involve human beings. One is what we call a natural history study, in which we take a group of individuals, like individuals with PTSD or like individuals with TBI, and we follow them over a long period of time. And so very much what natural history studies allow us to do is generate hypotheses around what the enemy is. The other type of trial that we do here is something called a treatment trial or an experimental trial. And that's an experiment, and we're actually trying to test whether one intervention works better or worse than another. So for instance, a classic experimental trial would be a drug trial in which you do a placebo-controlled trial where you give somebody a pill every day, and that individual may or may not know whether or not that's the experimental pill or a sugar pill. So those are the two types of trials, and we do both of them here.
The Clinical Trials Unit has been created to develop novel treatments for the most important symptoms of traumatic brain injury, such as sleep disorders, headache, chronic pain, depression, anxiety. Clinical trials are very important because they provide a rigorous environment in which the research question can be asked in a scientific way. By doing clinical trials, I can hopefully make a difference in the lives of many more patients because traumatic brain injury is very prevalent and is a condition that affects mostly young people, and we want to give them an active life as much as possible.
We've been using virtual reality, virtual Iraq and virtual Afghanistan, since about 2007. We were the first to show that the function of the brain significantly improves with that treatment. So they say a little bit about what happened to them, and then the therapist creates some of that in the virtual environment. It's more attractive to service members because, frankly, a lot of our younger soldiers, they're used to playing video games, being immersed in this kind of a world. And so it's appealing to them. They might say, well, yeah, talk therapy, I don't know, I don't really want to talk to somebody about this. I don't want to take another medicine. But virtual reality, wow, that sounds kind of cool. Sure, I'll come in. So it gets their foot in the door.
One of the things we do here is an interesting test called transcranial magnetic stimulation. And we like to do this over the part of the brain that controls the muscles on the other side of the body, an area called the motor cortex. And that way, when we stimulate, we can look at how big the muscle twitch is. And that tells us a lot about the sensitivity of the brain and how it changes under various conditions.
When patients have a head injury or other types of neurological disorders, it frequently affects their thinking, their memory, their speed, the speed at which they process information, their ability to shift their attention. And what clinical neuropsychologists do are measure out those cognitive abilities, such as memory, attention, things like that. After a patient has an injury, as you say, they may or may not know if they're functioning at the level they were before. One of the things that we do is we also estimate what their functioning was prior to the injury. So by being able to determine sort of where they were before and where they are now, we can make a more objective assessment of where they're having problems and what those problems may be.
Please visit our website at cnrmstudies.org. Subscribe to our Facebook page, Twitter feed, YouTube channel, and Instagram. That's where you'll have access to TBI and PTS resources. Please give us a call. We would love to hear from you. Together, we can make a difference.